setting a trap to kill you. Them setting a trap to kill you. Anansi.
For generations, the miserable storyteller Anansi has lived in different versions. And this time around, he's got his own season. A full festival is on, and it's all part of the big plan of no stranger to the Now Morning Show, Mr. Rubadiri Victor, a multimedia artist and cultural activist, giving us what we will call officially Anansi season, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. A festival. Tell me more. Well, good morning, but tell me more.
Hi. Thanks a lot for having me. Now, hello Trinidad and Tobago. All right, so we are doing the season of Anansi Folklore Festival, right? The YBN Folklore Theatre, Passion Fruit Publishing, my group of, right? And so it's multiple venues. There are things happening in multiple venues. So we do a national school tour.
Right.
We perform every year in front of literally tens of thousands of kids all across the nation. That continues.
Right.
But we expanded the footprint of the festival. So we launch tomorrow night at IMAX. Mm-hmm. So at IMAX for the next 3 weeks, starting tomorrow, Thursday the 15th, for 3 weeks, we're having an Afro-futurism exhibition and seminar. So Afro-futurism, Black Panther, Get Out, Spider-Verse, things that those kind of sci-fi fantasy things that are rehabilitating the representation of black and brown peoples and stuff, Afro samurai, all those different kinds of there's new types of fiction and representations and stuff. So we're having an international festival. We have international contributors, people like Chuck Brown, which is Bitterroot, one of the top kind of graphic novels in the world. We have Vince Fraser, who was supposed to be here, was supposed to do the feature address and do a workshop. Unfortunately, has a lung infection, the long flight and that kind of stuff. So he just sent his things. He's still going to do the feature event. Okay. That's his stuff there. Wow. He's the top digital and AI artist in the world, one of them. His immersive rooms are all over London, Dubai, all of the place and stuff, 360 wrap rooms with incredible graphics and those kinds of things. He's doing his workshop on Friday from 9 to 11:30. It's going to be streamed in at IMAX. So corporate can get tickets, artists can get tickets, 7970949 or Island tickets for that. And then he was videoing in his feature address tomorrow night. We're releasing a Nipsey Hussle NFT from his mentor, who's a Trinidadian.
Oof, there is a lot happening in this festival.
Right? 2 stories in IMAX, open 10 to 6 for the next 2 weeks. Okay. Following week, we had Queen's Hall for 1 day only with Anansi and the 10 Dragons, a spectacular play with all the artisan costumes from the great dragon artisans of Trinidad and Tobago Carnival. They are on stage integrated with digital animated characters and landscapes and all that kind of stuff. And Anansi's battling the 10 dragons, trying to rescue the son of the prince, the lion prince.
Now, I have a lot of context. I've read the books, we've had multiple interviews before, but I'm taking it back a notch because, like I said, Anansi was the little mischievous spider that would be telling stories and carrying through generations. When you do that school tour, which continues to live on, what is the reception like with the current generation? Because that is still removed from the animation and the advancements that we will see later on in the festival.
Yeah.
Tell me what the little students are like when we meet Anansi.
Well, it's both the little and big students, primary and secondary schools. So there's a discordance in the sense that a lot of people don't know anything about our folklore. They don't know about our stories. They don't know about our culture and those kinds of things. So they've been introduced to a lot of things. Right. And so that's one of the reasons that we do what we do. But at the same time, when we perform those things, it's a riot. I mean, it's madness. It's craziness because it's very interactive and those kinds of things. They get into it. Sometimes they're performing in the little skits inside the performances and those kinds of things. It's complete madness. And
good madness.
Good madness. Like when we did the plays the first time, it mashed up with the primary school students, and then we had the hardback secondary schools out.
Not
we were like, we saying like, "Way boy, we clean up with the kids, but let us see how the secondary school same reaction and that kind of stuff." So we knew that okay, it's working. The folklore works, the stories work, and our rendition of them work. Beautiful. So Queen's Hall is 1 day only. Thursday the 21st, we have 3 shows: 2 for kids. For the students, 9 o'clock in the morning, and then 12:30 for the schools, and then the gala for the adults at night, 6
Right.
p.m. cocktails, horsey overs, 7 p.m. show, right? And we have a commitment to, like, we don't charge like the orphanages and the homes. They're underprivileged schools, rural schools and urban schools that don't get an opportunity to get to see and do things like this because they can't afford, you know, we don't charge those schools.
Beautiful.
But we ask corporate sponsors or patrons and those kind of things to take up the thing to subsidize them.
Right.
So again, give us a buzz, 7970949, to help us get some of these schools. We already have hundreds of students who are going to be attending that we're not charging.
Right.
But we have to
Keeping the
pay for
beautiful work alive.
we have to pay for the seats somehow. you
Come
know,
on,
so-
guys. I love that we are looking at multiple generations, literally from children to adults being able to partake of this. And in terms of the ways that they're being presented, we literally see the evolution from good old storytelling to the inclusion of AI and technology now. One of the things you mentioned specifically was Vince Fraser's immersive experiences.
Right.
And even the Queen's Hall presentation itself, where we're going to be bridging the gap, the performance on stage and the technology itself.
yeah.
Talk to me a little bit as to how that came about, because these partnerships, I imagine, would have been long in the making to begin to have.
Right. So, I mean, the way I learned my craft was apprenticing with elder master artists. So I've always had that kind of appreciation of mastery and the fact that elders have this thing that we don't have, and that we have to work at it. So I've always had that relationship with a lot of the elder artisans and those things. So when I created the company, I also have a relationship with modernity and my peers. So I'll be working with digital animation and be doing all those kinds of things. It was an opportunity to bring those two worlds together. So all these incredible artisan costumes and sets, and then integrated with, you know, digital animated characters and sets on stage. And when we did it for the first time for Chogam, it was the first time on a Trinidad stage ever. And so we knew that, okay, it works. So we're continuing in that vein. So everything that we do, we try to do that. So in that, the last feature of the festival, the 5th of June, we're at Little Carib Theatre, and we're doing a tribute to Paul Keynes Douglas
As we should.
and Auntie Thea. And we're also paying tribute to the in-between generation who are continuing the thing. So Lexo Santana, who did Santana, and Rodi, right? So the ones who kind of taking that kind of Anansi storytelling things into new media and those kinds of things. So we're paying attention to the and giving tribute to the elders. I mean, Paul Keynes is a national treasure beyond
Absolutely.
belief, as is Auntie Thea. They are the ones who've kind of kept that storytelling tradition alive. And so get your tickets, come out and pay respects to those two great elders, as well as Rodi and Santana at their special thing on Thursday, the 5th of June at Little Carib.
Quite the calendar of events.
Yes,
So
serious.
we are looking at the school tour. We are looking at the presentations on stage in multiple spaces.
Yeah.
We're looking at the digital presentations as well, because you are
the
taking in the
exhibition at
visual.
IMAX,
Right.
yeah.
In terms of the books themselves, they're also still available, but will we have separate book reading tours or integrated into each of these
Right.
actions?
So amidst all of that, we're doing bookstore reading tours. Because again, I'm committed to an institution that I wouldn't exist without. Because I'm a nerd, so books and stuff are my life and stuff. So bookstores are real important to me growing up. And I know, everybody on screens and those kinds of things, and but I still feel that that tactile bookstore as a shrine, as a space where you can see work. In screen you just touch something and it pling, it comes up and
Right.
stuff. You don't get that sense of process and work.
The imagination
And so for
creates
a
things,
younger generation, I feel it's so important to be amongst things where you see the weight of work, of generations of work. And so to redynamize bookstores and those kinds of things, we're doing bookstore reading tour. We've already done Metropolitan Bookstore, Ishmael and Khan on Henry Street, and Blue Edition in Tunapuna, to really, really beautiful performances and those kinds of things. I did readings of my three Anansi novels. Woohoo!
Bloody woohoo. Well, the excitement I love that you continue to carry is what we're going to feel through all of this.
Right.
How can we find everything in one space? Give me a
Right.
website or socials, because people are going to
Yeah.
add this to their calendar.
Right. So seasonofAnansi.com, right? Very simple, seasonofAnansi.com. All the information for all the events is there at seasonofAnansi.com. All the tickets, they have the links for all the tickets for all the shows, and they're all available at Island e-tickets. And we also have snail mail venues, Kenny's nationwide, Metropolitan Bookstore on Arapita Avenue, and the Queen's Hall box office for the Anansi show. One day only. 21st of Thursday the 21st, next week of May. Schools 9 a.m., 12:30. Adults, your gala show. With all your fancy dress and stuff from 6 p.m.
Rubadiri, it's always a good time to have you here because you continue to tell the stories that need to be told. So we thank you for doing the good work.
Thanks
and
for having
tomorrow
me.
we are heading over to IMAX for the launch of the Season of Anansi Folklore Festival. For now, though, we've got some entertainment after these messages here on the Now, so stick around.
Them setting a trap to kill you. Anansi